The new Me Too movement is here. What is the new Me Too movement? Middle East Treaty Organization. What is their goals? What is their achievements? Or what will be their achievements? Join me as with Larry Johnson as we discuss this and other topics. The starvation in the Navy, the American Navy collapsing from the inside. It's not enough that you have broken toilets, broken showers, black mold, but now soldiers are starving. And it's not just one aircraft carrier. This is Navy wide. Why is this happening? Who's doing what? Join us and we will discuss.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of India Has the Truth. We're back with Larry Johnson, the Shirt Johnson, the Party Shirt Johnson. And,
Well,
and we could,
I got the party shirt on today.
I,
The adult beverages that usually have to have an umbrella in them.
I think you can see people dancing in the background back there in the blurred background.
Uh,
And I've got a contraband shirt that's not allowed in the U.S. anymore.
Rebel South. Well, yeah.
But by the way, amazingly enough, you can get like lots of Confederate paraphernalia on ozone and wild berries, like patches, flags, mugs. It's I don't know
You need
why,
to
but there's
you
tons
need
of
to let Ryan Dawson know.
it. Well. So we've got a lot of news these days. Radical. Well, there's no mission statement per se, but there's kind of a statement of statements from the Ministries of International Affairs from the Middle East NATO. But before we go to that, I want to run a sound bite. I think you'll enjoy from our favorite person. Um,
Oh, I got several favorite persons.
Well, the one that never tells a lie.
Oh, that's got to be Donald Trump. Come on, play that funky music, white boy.
You hear it?
No,
Oh, really? It's not. I wonder why it's not the. Let me try that again.
no nothing.
Huh. I wonder why it's one second. I wonder why the microphone is blocking. Uh, we'll try this. This should do it on the settings.
Two very powerful, three powerful studies. We could just keep it alone, and they're going to fail. We could just keep,
Can you hear it?
sort of just like nice and
Barely.
relaxed.
I know. Here it's Trump.
Like I said, I'm sort of negotiating. You see, they're very devious negotiators because they'll agree to something, then they'll go out and tell the press that they never
did
agreed
not.
to it. They're very dishonest people. So we have three strategies. Do what are doing now, just bop along and look how bad they're doing because
So Trump is saying that Iranian negotiators are devious because they'll agree to something with Trump and then they'll go out and say they never agreed to that. What do you make of that?
Which sounds a lot like what Trump is doing.
Yep.
You know.
Do you think he's actually even negotiating with him?
Well, I'm getting mixed signals. The Pakistanis are now saying that the talks are back on, that they're talking to J.D. Vance, relaying messages to the Iranians. The Iranians apparently are responding, but we then had Ghalibaf's deputy or assistant yesterday come out and say, "We're done talking to to Trump. We're going to wait till he's replaced to talk to any American." So who knows? Uh, it is, um, it's very very unsettled, very unsettled.
Do you think the Iranians are going to keep this up to the end of Trump's Trump's got another 2.5 years to the end of
Yeah,
Trump's.
well, and that assumes Trump survives the 2.5 years,
Yeah.
because he very well, if the November election goes as expected now, which would be a Republican wipeout, then he'll face genuine impeachment charges. He will probably well. If the Democrats are smart, they'd leave him in office because he's just a great target to beat up and blame for everything. Because if they remove him, they put in J.D. Vance, and J.D. Vance actually could be quite competent and quite effective,
Mm-hmm.
and could actually turn the table on the Democrats. So I don't know if they want to go down that road or not. But if Trump survives the midterms, and they only lose the House and still control the Senate, then it'll be, again, he'll be a lame duck president. Nothing will get done, but he'll be under. I think it's going to be the economy that's going to force his hand in making a deal with Iran. They're hoping right now. They're hoping they can put the Trump administration can put enough pressure on Iran that Iran will collapse. But good God, even Scott Bessent doesn't understand what the hell he's doing. So
That's very
he was
true.
out. He was out yesterday or the day before yesterday talking. Oh yeah, man, the Iranians they're going to lose their leverage because we're going to build all these pipelines, so none of the oil will have to go through the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranians are screwed. And I'm going, you dumbass. Do you not realize that 25% of the world's LNG supply came through the Persian Gulf, as well as urea, as well as sulfur, as well as helium, and none of that is transportable via pipeline.
Yep.
You have to put it on board ships to haul it out. Duh.
Well,
Unbelievable.
the question is also, pipelines don't just go up. I mean, it takes years to build them.
Wait a second. In his magical world, man, you just wave your hand and they pop up out of the sand. Come on. Jesus.
Yeah, here we go. Let me, I was going to say, shite out a couple of pipes. Oh, geez.
That's exactly what they'd be doing, man.
And across mountains and areas like that. Yeah. Wait, didn't he say they were going to go on a blitz and build up processing plants for rare earth, and they were going to have the U.S. was going to be independent on rare earth magnets within a year?
Yeah, good luck with that. That would be damn impressive, and it hasn't happened. Hell, they haven't even figured out where they'd build it, much less break ground, much less. And again, creating the processing factories. My understanding is those take about a good 2 years, and that's assuming you can get all the environmental tickets punched.
Oh yeah, and they are dirty. Like it or not, they are dirty. Nobody wants them in their backyard. I guess you could do it on federal property, somewhere in the desert.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Yeah, well, by the way, he said that about a year ago. So, a year's been gone by. And
Yeah, good intentions, huh?
what about the promise from the military-industrial complex to build new factories, I guess, within like a year or so, and triple missile production for Trump at their expense?
Yeah, good luck with that, because rare earth minerals again. 78% of the DoD weapons are produced using 4 rare earth minerals and tungsten.
78%?
Tungsten is not 78%. I was shocked
Wow.
when
Wow.
I tapped in and said, okay, what percentage of U.S. Just type it in and ask, and they came back 78%. I'm like, holy smokes! So that means even if you got the money, even if you got the factory, if you ain't got the rare earth, man, you might as well just be standing there grabbing your ass.
Okay, so when they were planning all this out, so let me try to figure this out. When they're planning all this out, because they've been meaning to go after China now for over a decade, And all the weapon systems are using, all the modern weapon systems are using rare earth elements. Everything's they're buying from China, and they didn't think they may need to start manufacturing at home like a decade ago.
That would have implied planning. Okay, Jesus, and that's what's so. It's like there's nobody in charge of planning. Said, okay, this is these are the basic weapons we need. Do we have the stockpiles in place to sustain production at X level? And if they would have asked that question, they said, "Oh no, we're short. We better store up." That's one option. Or we better create the plans to create this stuff. That's another option. Or you could do both. It's not one or the other. It could be both simultaneous. They didn't do any of that.
Well, you know, there's some of those magnets are in flat screen television sets and other modern electronics. Maybe they're planning on just taking them all apart and stripping
Oh
them.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
we
You
had
see
to do
that?
it for microchips from our washers and dryers.
Yeah, you see some guys in uniform show up at your door, knock on it. Hello, ma'am. We're here for your television. No, I love this. Shut up. We're taking your television.
What do you do? I take televisions apart. I mine television. That's the new profession, television miner.
Yeah, unreal.
Yeah, yeah, the age we live in. 78%. That's insane. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah, well, it shows what the vulnerability is. And, there was always this assumption the United States has some strategic depth. We ain't got no strategic depth.
I remember there was I guess, about 15 years ago, maybe a little longer, there was a scandal where they found out for some of the missile systems, they were buying chips from China. That was a big scandal. Apparently, they started buying them from Taiwan. Um, but you know, it was a mainland China at that point. You know, when I was, it was 2002, and the U.S. military, I think it was 2002, the U.S. military, the Army, anyways, morale was down. So the brains that be came up with this great idea that the best way to raise morale for the U.S. Army is to give everybody black berets.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of the version of a participation trophy.
Yeah. So, and then the next big scandal came out was all these berets were being produced in China.
Yeah. Well, hey, count your blessings that you did your time as a ground pounder instead of being with the Marines or as a sailor, because those boys and some girls, man, they are getting hosed big time. Um, they are the lack of food, lack of toiletries, lack of showers, lack of functioning toilets, and man, it's piling up one after another.
Is
Um,
is it true that they were on the Lincoln? They were throwing water bottles at some admiral that was giving a speech.
that well,
Anything true
I
to
don't
that?
know about I
Mhm.
don't know about that. What I do know is last week, I think last Thursday, the Secretary of the Navy was out in San Diego speaking to a bunch of angry parents of sailors on board the USS Lincoln. So that may have been where that story came from.
Maybe, maybe. So yeah, it flashed across the wire. I'm like, well, that sounds a little odd. Plus, why would there be an admiral on the Lincoln right now? Um, what do you have to say to them? I mean, at this point, explain why the kids are
Uh,
starving.
he did. Yeah, that's what he couldn't explain. Why it was so screwed up. So I had a mother of a sailor from the USS Tripoli reach out to me about now almost 3 weeks ago, and she was detailing chapter and verse. I said, "Man, my kid came home from that float, and she'd been in the military herself, and she said he lost 30 pounds." And she said that, and he wasn't a fat body before he went over. He was, he was good, solid shape. But um, he came back gaunt. Is about the best way to describe it. He really had lost a lot of weight. And then when I was in Chattanooga, Tennessee, a week ago Saturday, I ended up visiting a woman came through. They had a sort of a conga line of all the speakers, and they had these like playing cards printed up with each of our pictures, me dressed up as a Revolutionary War general. Very cool picture. And
Send it to me.
oh yeah, we go to Sonar 21. Just click on any of the articles, you'll see it upper right hand
Okay, I
corner.
haven't been on there in a while, so yeah.
Oh yeah, but there was we started talking, and then somehow it came up that her son, a Marine, had just returned from the float on board the Boxer. And I said, "Oh, I've heard some complaints from parents of other military personnel about the food conditions on other ships." She goes, "Oh, let me tell you." She launched into it. So here you got all these pissed off mothers whose sons have been, in their view, completely mistreated. And I'm thinking, so this is, and then CNN did a story on it the other night. Same thing, same exact thing.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, you on Sonar, you got that picture of what they were eating, that mystery meat.
Man, you wouldn't feed that to your dog.
Hell no. I love my dog. Yeah, I got fed stuff like that out in the field. T-rats.
Hey, an MRE is better quality than this crap.
Oh yeah, absolutely. As bad as MREs were, I mean, looking at that picture, it's absolutely MREs are better. I mean, the T-rats are horrible, but you didn't get them for that long. I mean, these guys are out for what, 4 months at a time eating that kind of crap.
Oh no, dude, they're going out 8-9 months.
So the Ford
Yeah,
wasn't.
that's the other problem. That's the other problem.
That's there should be supply ships coming in. You'd assume.
No, in theory, but they're not. They're not stocking them properly either.
Wow. So speaking of the Middle East, where they're stuck, what do you make of METO? METO, you NATO?
Yeah. No. Me too. The
Yeah,
Middle
me
East
too.
Treaty Organization.
Yeah, me too. It's the
Yeah,
Me
it's the
Too
Me Too.
crowd
It's the
again.
new Me Too movement. I actually I'm inclined to believe that there's something to this. While we haven't seen the actual text, we don't know what they've actually agreed to do
Right.
for each other or to each other.
To each other.
But yeah, but that said, the fact that they signed it in Mecca was that there was tremendous symbolic importance in that, because otherwise, if it's just a regular treaty between governments, they would have signed it in Riyadh, but they didn't.
Right.
They went to Mecca, so they're sending a message. This is for the Muslims of the world. This is a Muslim effort.
But it's all Sunni governments. You think
True.
the Shia Iranians, Iraqis, Yemenis?
Well, no, I don't think I really don't think it's intended to go after either the Houthis or the Iranians, because if that was the case, then you would have seen attack by Pakistan on Yemen on the Houthis already, because remember, Pakistanis and Saudis signed that agreement last September. Mutual defense. Attack on one is an attack on all. Okay, the Houthis attacked, Pakistan did nothing. And then after they signed the Me Too agreement last week, there was another attack by both the Popular Militia Front and the Houthis on targets inside Saudi Arabia, and neither Turkey or Pakistan retaliated. So that tells me that this thing is really intended for Israel.
Hello, dear friends. Just want to remind you, if you like this video or you like what you hear, click like, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Send it to your friends. Let's grow this channel. Maybe we can finally hit it up to 100,000. That'd be a good round number for the summer. So let me know, leave some comments, and give a thumbs up. So look forward to seeing you in the next video. Cheers.
Nothing else.
You think so? I've
Yeah.
heard theories that it's particularly on Israel, but it seems like since Iran was separate and Saudi Arabia's shooting it up with Yemen again, or with the Houthis anyways. By the way, they hit an oil refiner, Aramco oil refiner 2 days ago, or 3 days ago. So things
Right.
seem to be heating up with the Saudis again.
Well, up to a point. I mean, they're stupid. I've described it as, if you live in a glass house, the last thing you want to do is get into a rock fight with somebody who lives in a brick house, because your rocks are going to bounce off. They're not going to do much damage. Their rocks are going to, destroy your house.
Yep.
And that's exactly the disadvantage that the Saudis are at.
I don't quite get their mental state. There's no reset button. This is not this is not Call of Duty. There's no reset button on this one. Just shooting at the the Houthis when they went to the funeral for Khamenei. It was just why? Just why start a war on something like that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, they've been at war going back at least 12, 14 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, really, the foundations of this war are centuries old.
True.
1,400 years old. It goes back to the killing of the grandson of the prophet, the Imam Ali. For the Shia, they view that he was a legitimate successor, and he was denied that by these Takfiri, Salafis within who now are called Sunnis. And so, they, this, like I said, this stuff's centuries old. They haven't forgot about it.
Yeah, kind of like the Catholics and the Protestants.
Yeah, no, very much so.
Meanwhile, we Orthodox just sit it out and watch and go, it's not us.
Yeah, I mean, think of your most devout Catholic, and then they're confronted with someone who's a Baptist or a Presbyterian or an Episcopalian. You got all these flavors of Protestants. And as far as that, hardcore Catholic is concerned, they're not real Christians. And that's the same way that the Sunnis view the Shia.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to go far for that. North Ireland. They've been loving each other there for the last, 50, 60 years?
Yeah.
A time of troubles. Do you think, do you think it's going to expand? There's word that they're trying to get Egypt into this.
Well, they tried. So, you remember when Arachi went to Moscow, visited Putin end of April?
Yeah, of course.
Putin came out and said, "Hey, we need a new security architecture in the Middle East." Then Arachi hopped on a plane with the Beijing. A week later, after meeting with Wang Yi comes out and says, "We need a new security architecture in the Middle East." So then in June, while Pakistan is brokering indirect meetings with the United States and Iranians for getting the MOU signed in Switzerland, the Egyptians hosted a meeting of the foreign ministers of Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. So this whole new METO was discussed there, and I've heard two different stories. One is that the Egyptians declined; they didn't want to get involved right now. The other is the Egyptians leaked information to the Americans, and the other members, proposed members of METO, said, "Nah, Egypt's out. They're not trustworthy. They're too much a toady of the U.S."
Yeah. True enough. True enough. I mean, Sissy is well. Yeah. He lives up to the American version of his name. He's so afraid of the Israelis, or the. I'm surprised he's still holding the power. I mean, the Arab streets are angry. I know that.
Yes.
What about the Israelis? I mean, they've got to be watching this, even if it's partially aimed at Iran. Yeah, you're right. It's going to be at least aimed at them just as much, if not a whole lot more.
Well, there's not a lot they can do, and if they decide to try to attack Iran unilaterally, it's going to end very badly for them. But I don't think they'd get overflight of Saudi Arabia. The Saudis won't allow that, which means they'd have to try to overfly Iraq and hope they don't get shot down. So this is, but it's political season, and you got a lot of trash talking going on that has nothing to do with reality.
Yeah, we've heard from several GOP talking heads saying, Trump should just sign anything that the Iranians put out, and then we can start shooting at them again after the elections.
Correct.
So who's the devious negotiators?
Yeah. Well, they're not going to have, again, I think the economics in this are going to turn sour. And when they turn sour, it'll go fast and it'll be big. And so big that it's going to force Trump to focus exclusively on domestic and try to keep the domestic economy from crashing.
What do you think the impact is going to be? I mean, look, the straits are still closed. That's about 140 million barrels of oil a week. That's not making market.
But it's just not the oil. So like I said,
Right.
up to 25% of the world's supply of oil comes out of there. That's a major contributor to making diesel,
Yep.
aviation fuel, and diesel and aviation fuel are real short globally, and there's no ready alternative. So you've got that, but then what Scott Bessent forgot to talk about was the urea, the sulfur, the liquid natural gas, and the helium.
Oh, the fertilizer.
Those also have massive impacts on the global economy, and there's no way any of those are coming back anytime soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a projection that the European crop yields are going to be down 40%. That's huge.
Yeah,
That's starvation level. Not for the poor, anyways.
sure.
But you know which country doesn't have a problem with diesel?
Russia.
Yep.
Yeah.
When you come, you'll get to see all the empty gas stations once more, just like last time.
Yeah, I mean that propaganda campaign didn't last too long, and it wasn't too effective. I mean, it had a brief. It was effective in the West in convincing people of a lie.
Yeah.
And it spooked some Russians that they did panic buying. Now things are back to normal.
Yeah. No, there was some difficulties about 2 months ago. I went down to the Donbass. I just came back a week ago from Krasnodarsky Krai, from being at the beach in the Black Sea. There's no shortages anywhere. There's some mom and pops that are empty, but the government's actually getting on that because the big boys are trying to just use this as an excuse to squeeze them out of business because the mom and pops buy from the big boys, obviously. They don't have their own refineries, and it just looks like the big boys are just taking it as an opportunity to squeeze the competition out from these small companies. So, other than that, yeah, that's fuel's taken care of. What do you Which way do you think the Europeans are going to go? Look, I mean, the front's starting to move a lot faster. Rioja was halfway taken, which was a big burst right there from over the last month. Everybody's closing in from 4 different directions, really, on Dzhrovka, Kramatorsk, and Slavinsk. Uh, the northeastern Kharkov is collapsing in those areas. Panic in Europe
Yeah,
here?
no, it is. So, as I've already laid out before, when you go back to, so 2022, the main offensive was the taking of Mariupol.
Yep.
2023, really one major axis of attack, Bakhmut.
Yep.
End of 2023, going into 2024, again, one axis of major attack of Avdiivka. Then later in September, you got the Kursk invasion. And so Russia simultaneously sort of opened up a second front there. So they were pushing the Ukrainians out of Kursk, and then continued with the other sort of main line stuff, which was Pakrovsk. So they shifted to do Pakrovsk. So then once we got into 2025 and took care of Pakrovsk, then all of a sudden they started expanding the attack. Zaporizhia, Dnipropetrovsk, Kharkiv, Kherson, and Sumy. And then I guess it was earlier today, Russian General Staff announced that they're doing more up in Chernihiv.
Yep.
So now you've got basically 7 axes of attack. And how does Ukraine put together forces to withstand all those attacks? They don't because they can't.
Colombian mercenaries.
Yeah, Jesus, these guys, they're stupid.
There isn't a battlefield in the world there are not dead Colombians laying around.
Yeah, well, they figured they get paid better if they went to Ukraine to fight, and then they didn't realize they get ripped off.
Yeah. You don't pay dead mercs.
Very true.
Oh, jeez.
No incentive to properly identify the bodies. They leave that to the Russians.
Oh, absolutely. Now, do you think the European Union is going to do well? The knuckle dragging, mouth breathing leadership of the EU? You think they're going to double down, or are they finally going to come to their senses?
No, I think they'll continue to double down until they get punched in the nose and get a big bloody nose. Only then will they stop thinking. Yeah, it is. It's one of those things that you can only lie to yourself so long. Okay, and then reality intrudes. And I don't know how what's going to be the reality wake up call for America, but that's coming.
Well, I mean, food prices are going to go up. I mean, that's obvious enough. Energy prices are going to go up if they're not going up already.
Yeah.
Depression, recession. Well, recession. Is the U.S. in a recession right now? What's the word?
Officially not. I would say unofficially, yes.
Okay. Because officially, I know officially they're not, but
the official definition is, I guess, you got to have two consecutive quarters of negative growth.
Right.
But they don't have the data out. The data for August is not going to be out until end of September.
True.
So it's really sort of a month behind.
And then they'll recalculate it and somewhere in November, even further down.
Well, they do. They exclude food prices and they exclude fuel prices.
Yep.
food and fuel. Forget about that. Inflation's great, but then if you factor in food and fuel, all of a sudden the price index is off the charts.
Yeah. How long can the American taxpayer carry this? I mean, Trump's threatening more tariffs on everybody. The tariff regimes I don't think they've come off since they've been put on, and now this. I mean,
Right.
oh, the Europeans are nuts.
Well,
But
the U.S. when the U.S. had complete control of the global money supply through the petrodollar, it could very well use sanctions to punish and coerce people. There weren't alternatives. There are alternatives now in China, in Russia, in BRICS. Lots of alternatives.
yeah, that's yeah. It's amazing to watch. It's just this steady car crash. Well, not a car crash, train crash. Wagon after wagon going off of the rails.
Well,
What,
yeah, we're definitely off the rails. That's a good analogy.
and what's Bessett's plan? Wasn't he planning on grabbing, confiscating bitcoins from different governments?
Something like that. Yeah. No, he's as discussed earlier. He thinks just building one single, several pipelines to carry oil that removes Iran as a military force, and all those countries benefit. It's like, dude, you can't, you're going to have to retreat to underground cities, and but, again, this disconnect from reality. You keep pretending that one thing's going on and refuse to admit the exact opposite's happening.
Hey, have you heard? I heard this rumor that Trump was trying to fire Vance.
Yeah. But he was
It's not
told
a
you can't
rumor.
do that. Yeah, no, it's not a rumor. He reportedly tried to do it or was seeking. I asked him, how do I do this? And I said, you don't. The only way he gets removed is he dies in office, he's impeached and removed, or he gets through the Trump term, gets the nomination, runs, and then gets knocked out that way. Who knows?
I'm thinking Trump never read the Constitution.
Reading is not one of his strong suits, they say.
So what was his reason for trying to get rid of Vance? Vance was right. Trump was wrong.
Well, yeah. I mean, Vance was just saying, hey, give peace a chance. And Trump didn't want to give peace a chance. And so I guess he was hectoring Trump all along, do this, do this, do this. And so Trump then reacts the way he did.
Do you think there's going to be an impeachment on Hegseth? I mean, there's going to be impeachment on Trump, more than likely. But
Yeah. No, I think
about
if
Hegseth?
the Democrats win the House and Senate, Hegseth will be the first impeached, I believe.
Do you think he realizes that?
Maybe in the back of his mind, but I don't see him worrying about it up front.
Because I've listened to some of his speeches. They're painful to listen to begin with, but I mean, the man is he's like an alcoholic. He's constantly he's high on his own stuff. War, 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 kill, kill, kill. We're gonna get them all.
Yeah, yeah, and there's also these rumors that they're mobilizing the Gulf Arabs for a land invasion, a land grab at Card and Camps Island. And I lost it on Suleiman last night. I just, dude, that is such bullshit.
I've heard of that.
Where are the assembly points? Show me where the assembly points are. They don't exist. Or if they exist as a point on paper, but there aren't any real troops there doing anything.
Well, okay, so they assemble the Saudis. Okay, first of all, which Arabs? The UAE's 40,000 mercenary force, uh, Bahrain that can barely keep the king in power. So who's left there? The Saudis, the Jordanians?
Yeah, they got Saudis got 250,000. I'll call them mercenary troops. These are not Saudi nationalists.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
They're strictly mercs
I think I would say they're contract soldiers.
from all over the world. So okay, so they gather their 250,000 troops, and they're gonna cross. Okay, Kuwait's got some too. They still gotta cross Iraq, and Iraq's gonna fight them. And then what are they gonna do?
Right. Well, I keep pointing out to people, if you're going to launch a ground assault, you got to have an assembly point, assembly area, or multiple assembly areas. Where are those going to be? Because there's not a single one in the Middle East that Iran cannot reach out and touch.
Yeah. Well, Saddam had a much larger army than the Saudis, and he failed in his war with all the U.S. backings and all of NATO backing, and for the most part, even the Soviet Union was backing him to some degree.
Right.
So, and I'd probably say the Iraqis are much better fighters than the Saudis.
Oh yeah, no, I guarantee you that. Uh, the Saudis are led by a bunch of soft men.
Yeah.
You squishy handshakes. They piss on themselves.
You know, I've met some, and yeah, when I was in the military, and that's a pretty good description of them. It really is they're the sons of sheikhs. They don't have to try hard.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I've dealt with them in the past briefly, but way back in college, I got hired to be a tutor for a Saudi prince.
Oh, really? Wow. How was
That was a
that?
short-lived gig.
What happened?
He
Punch
decided
them?
he decided he didn't want to study.
Did you smack them around after that?
Nah, took the money and ran.
Oh yeah, it's the ones I've seen, and Jordanians too, for that matter. They were sad shape. Because
Yeah.
they sent a couple of lieutenants to our school when I was at Knox. You're looking at them, it's like, geez, that's pretty sad. Uh,
Absolutely.
but so last question. I know you got to run to Nima. Where did it start? Who started this rumor that they're supposed to be going? And were they going to do this invasion for the U.S. on behalf of Trump?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like I said, that it was getting reported in the Iranian press, and I think they did that more just for the propaganda benefit to keep the people, rallying.
Ah,
But it's I won't. I don't want to say it's not going to happen. If it happens, the odds that it's going to be a debacle like Gallipoli was for the Allies in World War One, pretty high, pretty high.
I mean, the Saudis threw in their mercs and their army into to fight the Houthis, and that I think would be a much easier fight than fighting the Iranians, and that was their
Well,
goal.
the Houthis are tough as woodpecker lips. They're hard people.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't want to get don't want to get in a fight with them.
I think the Iranians are going to be even worse, especially in their own
Yeah,
mountains. Yeah, this is well, it's the Me Too, not the Me Too
yeah.
movement.
It's me too. We'll see how me too works out.
Larry, I want to thank you. Always a
All right,
pleasure.
brother.
I am looking forward to
Yeah,
seeing you and burning some meat soon enough. Couple more weeks. Uh,
I'll be there, and we'll see you next week too.
absolutely. And who knows?
All right,
Maybe
bro.
they'll have a mission statement by that point.
Yeah, we'll find out. All right,
Cheers,
later.
everyone. Cheers.
Bye.